Hi. In the year of 2015, I believe every student in college has a computer and knows how to operate it. Technology is very convenient, but can also go awry sometimes. Has your computer ever been plagued by viruses that cause it to run really slow? In that case, you just want to erase all existing data and perform a reinstall of the operating system. And I'm talking about Windows specifically. Reinstalling Windows is easy with the CD that comes with your purchase of a computer or Windows itself. But what if you have lost the CD, or your new lightweight computer just doesn't have the capability to read a CD? Well, the solution to that is simple. Install Windows using a USB drive. This evening, I'm going to provide a short guide on installing Windows using a USB drive. And there are a series of configuration that needs to be done. The first, we need to configure the USB drive and the computer. Then we can initiate our installation process. At last, there will be some things that need to be taken care of after the installation. Without further ado, let's start on the configuration of the USB drive. A USB drive, commonly known as a pen drive or a flash drive. What it does is store data that can be transferred between computers. It can store data in two different formats, namely FAT32 and NTFS. NTFS is the older format that can only be read by older versions of BIOS, while the FAT32 is a universal format that can be read by both older and newer versions of BIOS. Basically, new computers cannot run data from NTFS format. So to create a fully functional Windows installer on a USB drive, we need to do it in the format of FAT32. Without getting into a lot of advanced settings and knowledge, Microsoft has helped create a software called Windows USB DVD download tool in order to help users prepare a USB drive that can install Windows. Once the software is downloaded from the internet, we can simply follow the on-screen instructions to create a USB drive with functional Windows installer files on it. It is recommended to back up all existing data because this process will wipe out any existing data on the USB drive. Now we have the USB Windows installer. We need to configure the computer. Earlier I mentioned that BIOS reads data in different formats, but I would like to explain what BIOS is. BIOS, B-I-O-S, stands for Basic Input Output System, and it is a built-in interface that controls computers from the most basic level. That means without BIOS, the computer will not function. Every time we start a computer, the BIOS reads data from different drives according to the boot sequence. Under normal circumstances, the BIOS will not read from a USB drive by default. Hence, we need to change the boot sequence in order for the BIOS to load the Windows installer, which is on our USB drive. You are probably wondering how to get to the BIOS interface. So every time you start up your computer, notice a little message that says press delete to enter setup. While the key varies from manufacturer to manufacturer, that key will take you to the BIOS interface. And the BIOS interface should look something like this. Take some time and find the boot sequence settings and simply change the first boot device to a USB device. Now just exit the BIOS and save the settings. Your computer will restart. Now we can start initiating the installation of Windows. Simply plug in the USB drive and wait for the installer to load. After that, follow the on-screen instructions. It should be pretty self-explanatory and should not pose any technical difficulties. However, there are a few steps that are important and need to be paid attention to. The first important thing is to perform a clean installation instead of a repair. A repair doesn't wipe out any existing data, but it doesn't really do anything significant to the existing operating system. Then we need to also make sure that Windows Update is enabled. This will save a lot of time in manually installing and updating system files after installation. Lastly, make sure that Windows is installed correctly on drive 0, which is the default. If there are some partitions on the existing drive, then we need to make sure that Windows is installed in a primary partition instead of a system reserved partition. This will prevent crashes and possible failure of installation. Once Windows is installed, your computer will likely restart a couple times by itself. After a successful installation of Windows, there are some things that we need to take care of in order for the computer to be well protected and fully functioning. An antivirus software must be acquired as soon as possible because internet connection will be required to update system files. And while you're connected to internet, you are exposed to a risk of virus infection. So it is important to have a virus protection while you're updating your files. While Windows will automatically update the system files, there are some files that it leaves out, and these are called the drivers. Drivers enable communication between the computer and physical devices. Typical drivers that Windows will leave out are the ones that control the graphics card and audio related devices. So it is necessary for us to download the drivers from each manufacturer's website in order for the hardware to properly function. To sum up, a successful Windows installation requires the USB drive and the computer to be correctly configured. And on top of that, specific details must be paid attention to during and after installation. All in all, this is a simple way to install Windows on your computer without having to use a CD. On modern lightweight computers, they are not designed to read CDs. So this is a great knowledge to have, and it might be useful if you know how to install Windows using a USB drive instead of a CD. And I hereby thank you all for giving me the opportunity to present you this knowledge. Thank you.